What's going on, guys? Welcome to Tech Savvy Buyer. So a couple weeks ago I did a review on a BenQ EX2780Q monitor. Now this monitor touts a 144Hz refresh rate. It's an IPS display. It's got a 8+2 10-bit panel. It's got HDR and it also has brightness intelligence settings. Now there's a lot of features about this monitor that I didn't really cover in full depth like I would have liked to in my last video. However, if you guys want to see the overall review for it, you can go ahead and click right up here, take a look at that video, because it is overall a very solid monitor. So in today's video, I'm not really going to do a review on it, but I do want to focus on two really important features of this, or basically two ways that you can use this monitor that I think that essentially makes it much better than the competition. So, and for reference, a lot of you guys were commenting that, you know, LG has an IPS panel that's also 2K resolution with 144Hz refresh rate, and it's just as good and it's a little bit cheaper. And I wanted to basically show you the differences of why I think that this monitor is the king. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I do want to give a huge shout out to IVC VPN for sponsoring this video. You guys can check them out in the link below, but essentially they are the go-to place to get VPN service, and I believe they still have their crazy Cyber Week sale going where you can get 90% off. Make sure you use my link, that way you get in on that discount. Anyways, so let's move on to this actual monitor. Now, as you guys can see behind me, this is my own workhorse monitor. This is what I use for gaming, this is what I use for editing, and even what editing this video. I have two of them, and they are absolutely beasts of monitors. So again, just to give you a quick rundown of specs, it has a 2K resolution, 144Hz refresh rate. It is an IPS display, supports HDR. It is a 8-bit panel, but has a +2 FRC as well, which kind of emulates the 10-bit panel. And believe me, guys, you won't really be able to see the big difference. The HDR on this is insane. It's HDR 400, and the brightness of it is actually really nice. So what is special about this? So the two things I wanted to really explain in this video was how HDRI is definitely a must-have feature nowadays. If you guys have been gaming on HDR monitors, I'm going to show you what it's like to game on an HDRI monitor and what that basically entails. And the second thing I wanted to cover in this video was how the gaming performance is, because you don't necessarily just need this for PC, even though most of my tests have been specifically to PC. This pairs exceptionally well with an Xbox One X because it is FreeSync enabled, and when you hook it up to your Xbox One X, it will detect it as 1440p, and it will give you the option to run it at 120 Hz. So when it comes to gaming, this monitor is simply just a beast. The amount of features that this thing touts are insane. Now let's focus on HDRI and what exactly that is. So let me give you an explanation of exactly how that technology works. So BenQ has really set itself apart with their innovation in their monitor lineup, and this is why they have different features that separate themselves from their competition. In this case, we'll focus specifically on the other competitor at 144Hz refresh 2K, the LG one. Anyway, so HDR in itself is great. It gives you a wider gamut of colors. It lets you get in all the details of those darker areas, of those wider areas. It gives you that level of detail that regular SDR content can't. If you guys don't know what HDR generally is, I suggest you guys find another video and kind of figure out what it does. Now, HDRI is basically the marrying of HDR technology with BenQ's brightness intelligence technology. So brightness intelligence, you may be wondering what exactly that is. Now, I've covered that in another video of mine with another BenQ monitor where they first launched this. But essentially what BenQ is doing is they're putting a sensor right there on the front of their monitor which detects the ambient lighting in the room. Based on the lighting, it adjusts the brightness of the actual monitor itself. So if you're in a dark room or you're working long hours, it's going to lower it so it doesn't provide a lot of eye strain. Or if you're in a very bright room and there's a lot of glare, there's a lot of lights in the room in general, it'll turn up the brightness so you can see your image better. Now, what happens when you put these two technologies together, the HDR and the brightness intelligence, is what you call HDRI, and this is exclusive just to BenQ's monitors. And guys, I'm telling you, this is simply a stunning matchup of features. The overall picture quality looks insanely different. When I was playing Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order, you could see a clear, distinct difference when you had HDRI enabled versus just having plain HDR enabled. Now, that's not to say that HDR itself is not really that great, but with both of these technologies merged together, it just creates an image that's so good that honestly, for me, going to another another monitor that does not have brightness intelligence is going to be a very, very big pill to swallow. And I think that speaks mounds for how this technology is kind of evolving. So overall, guys, the HDRI Plus is a must-have feature that you should really keep in consideration as you go shopping for monitors. Now, speaking of shopping for monitors, this specific monitor is on sale right now for $449 on Amazon. It had dropped down to $399 during Cyber Monday and Black Friday deals. However, I reached out to BenQ and I did you guys a solid favor, but it's going to be limited and exclusive to a very small group of people. So you got to be first come, first serve. Essentially, I don't know exactly how many people can take advantage of this deal, but I have an extra 25% off coupon that you can use in Amazon during checkout, and I'll leave it in the link below. Now, the first ones get it. You'll be able to apply that to the $449 price and get this monitor essentially for $336. And honestly, guys, that is by far the best price that you can expect to pay for this 27-inch behemoth of a monitor. Overall, I think it's a very, very solid monitor. It's got a wonderful set of speakers and features in general. If you guys haven't heard how loud this thing gets, it has a dedicated remote, a subwoofer on the back, and front-facing speakers, so it's actually a 2.1 system. And then you've got HDRI and brightness intelligence. The list just goes on and on and on. BenQ has really, really done well with this monitor. And pairing it with either an Xbox One X or pairing it with a gaming PC is just the right thing to do with this. So if you've been holding out and you've been wanting to get a nice monitor for your Xbox or even for your gaming PC, this is by far the only one you should really be considering with these sets of specs. There are other monitors out there that have 2K resolution and are 144Hz, but this is the only one that offers HDRI. Now, is HDRI necessarily a feature that you really need all the time? And absolutely not. It could be just considering like Dolby Vision is that something that everyone needs? Maybe not. So keep that in consideration when making your decision when you purchase something. But nonetheless, guys, honestly, this is an amazing feature nonetheless. And I hope you guys actually enjoy it when you do get a chance to demo it. It's hard for me to show this only on camera, but believe me, when you're playing it live and it's right in front of you, the experience is just breathtaking. Well, guys, that pretty much brings me to the end of this video. I really appreciate you guys sticking through to the end. As always, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you're updated when I have new content coming out, and I will see you guys on my next one. Thank you very much for staying and watching. See ya.